So hello, Tad. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. And thank you for having this conversation and agreeing to talk on the phone. And I know working with you for a few months now that you have made significant changes, and I really wanted to highlight this in sort of a way to inspire people to see what could happen when you take a look at your food and you make some changes. And for you, the changes have been really significant. So the first question I wanted to ask you, what was life like, specifically health-wise, before working together?
Yeah. Well, let's see. I was diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic in, I think if I'm remembering the dates right, it was in 2015. And it was a very hard message to get. My dad had been a type 2 diabetic, and his diabetes contributed to his dying when he was 73. And it was something I'd been trying to avoid. So I wasn't happy to get that diagnosis and tried to do some things on my own, going to my doctor and working on my own, but I wasn't very successful and was getting discouraged because my numbers were not going in the right direction. And then I actually had a friend of the family who's a dietitian who's working on her master's degree out of the area, and she's good friends with my daughter. And I asked her to do an evaluation of dietitians and give me some recommendations. And it was through that I found you. And so you've really helped me make some tremendous changes in my diet, which was difficult. And now it doesn't feel difficult, but, there was a stage when I felt like I was losing things that I really cared about. I love to eat, and we love to go out to nice restaurants, and now I don't feel like that's a problem at all. I've just learned how to eat differently, and I'm actually really excited about it.
Yeah.
And my numbers have gone from a high of 6.7 on the A1C down to 5.8, and I want to get them below 5.7 so I can beat diabetes, period, even though I'll be monitored. But I feel like I'm kind of trying to do it for not just for me, but for my dad as well.
That's awesome. So you mentioned that you were happy to get the diagnosis. Did you say something like, by accident, or was that really like, what was it like when you said you were happy that you got the diagnosis? No, I was really unhappy to get the diagnosis. Unhappy. Okay.
Yeah. No, it was something I've been trying to avoid and knew it was a potential for me. And so when that happened, so that was kind of painful, and contributed to a pretty difficult year. So that hit me hard, and it took a while to kind of figure out, what I was going to do about it. But I really felt like I needed help, and I felt like I needed help more than my doctor. I like my doctor a lot, but he's more helpful for every 3 months check-in to see where my numbers are. He's really not been very helpful in helping me strategize for how to do things differently.
So, you said that you have dropped your hemoglobin A1C, and somebody who has diabetes, they would understand this. Did you, how did your body feel different? How do you feel? Like what changes or accomplishments do you feel?
Yeah, I feel really good. I've lost a little over 20 pounds. I want to lose another 5 to 7 more. I've dramatically changed my diet, and changed, my alcohol consumption, and now I'm getting much better about exercise on 5 days a week. And I feel good. And and the funny thing is, I don't feel as though I'm losing anything. When I first was diagnosed and trying to do it on my own, and then even in the initial stages working with you, there was a period where I felt like, I'm losing all this stuff I really enjoy. And now I don't feel that way at all. I've kind of learned to think about things differently, and whenever I eat something or drink something, I ask myself, was it worth it? would I do that again, or would I do it differently? And I try to kind of reflect on that. So I'm constantly making those adjustments.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And I've always, loved seeing you and all the changes and the shift in the way you're eating and the way you're thinking as well in all of our appointments and sessions. So you had diabetes for, I would say, 2 years before you really buckled down with the diet-wise. Is there something that made you hesitate about nutrition or food?
Well, what I originally started doing is I started exercising like crazy. So I did a P90X regimen 6 days a week, very intensive. And I did that for about 3 or 4 months without focusing on diet as much. I mean, I tried to do my own version of the diet, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, I thought I did, but I really didn't. And what happened from that was my numbers didn't improve that much, and I actually injured my knees and then had to go through some rehab to get some functionality back in my knees. And so I got very discouraged at that point, and then kind of didn't do anything for a few months, and then kind of ended up realizing, okay, I got to do something. And that's when I reached out to this friend of the family and found you and started really focusing on my diet and now my exercise.
Yeah, and it's. I see this across the board. Always people think, exercise is great and it's really important, has a lot of health benefits, but for something like diabetes, heart disease, weight loss, and a lot of health conditions, really, it's what you eat is a big, 80% of the picture. So if you don't get this right, all of the effort, can go without seeing results.
Right. Well, and the other thing that I've discovered is, and again, I really do like my regular doctor a lot, but when it comes to nutrition or some of these things, that's not where his focus is. That's not his specialty. So I really felt that I needed somebody who really knew their stuff and was up on the latest research related to diabetes and could guide me, specifically with diet and supplements and all that kind of stuff. And it's made an enormous difference. I mean, I'm ecstatic. And I was telling my son the other day, he and I were out, and I told him, my experience with having diabetes, and I don't feel like I'm just doing it for me. I really feel like I'm doing it for me and my dad. That he wasn't able to beat diabetes himself, but I feel like I'm trying to beat it for both of us. And it means a lot to me.
Yeah, that's we do our best, and especially conditions when that they can be managed. With the right tools and resources.
Well, and you've helped me with a lot of things that I would have never imagined. For me, diet is such a complicated area, and even when you think you know what you're doing, my experience for me is that I thought I knew things that I really didn't know. And, I thought I was eating in a healthy way, when now I look at what I'm doing and it's, I'm eating very differently. I know the other thing I wanted to mention. One of the things that kind of is in the back of my mind, there's a book, I'm a very avid reader, and I read a really good book called Essentialism. And there was a phrase in that book that's kind of stuck with me, and that is less but better. So I've really tried to focus on my diet, and any alcohol I have is thinking in terms of less but better, not thinking about how can I eat so much or it's got to be this or that, but really, being really focused on being thoughtful and mindful about what I'm choosing.
Yeah, and making the most out of it as well too. Right,
and kind of coming back to that reflection where I'm always asking, was that worth it? Would I do that again, or would I do it differently? That's definitely kind of been kind of a phrase that's in the back of my mind.
Yeah, and I feel like something that also really helped you is that you mentioned a few times is you didn't feel like you were losing anything. Do you feel
Right.
that change in mindset or that thinking that I'm not giving up something helped you
Right.
stay
No,
on track?
and that's really a funny thing because I've noticed that in the last several months. And there was a period where I felt like I was losing a lot. And I felt as though, gee, I'm losing things that I really love. That's really a part of my life. I don't have a lot of hobbies, and we like going out to nice places to eat and going to wineries. We've gone to Napa and Sonoma and Central Coast in California for big anniversaries, and so I felt like I was losing something. But then all of a sudden, I turned a corner, and now I don't feel that way at all. And yes, I'm much more focused in what I'm eating and careful with what I'm eating, but I don't feel like I've lost anything at all. I mean, we still go out to restaurants. We were out in California for a couple of days in addition to a business conference, and we had a wonderful time. And, I was careful and, good about what I drank and ate. But, my mindset has really changed.
Yeah, and do you feel like that is more like empowering and inspiring to actually keep doing it? Because I feel like for a lot of people, is they want it to be a lifestyle, but they find it difficult to maintain as a lifestyle, or they're scared of the commitment.
Right.
How long do you feel it took you to just feel
to make that
comfortable
change?
doing this? Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. How long have I been working with you? Is it like 9 months or a year? Do you know?
Well, I can definitely go back and look that up.
I mean, I would guess it's somewhere around 9 months, but something like that. I would say.
We've definitely been working. Not a year. No, we have not been working together as a year just yet.
Okay.
Last
yeah,
fall.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, so I would say I felt like I made that turn at least 6 months ago. So maybe for the first 2 or 3 months working with you is where I was more struggling with those changes. But one of the things that's been so helpful for me in working with you is going in and saying, okay, here's an area where I know I'm struggling. I'm eating snacks. I know they're not the best snacks for me. What can I replace them with that I'll actually like? And, some of that's trial and error, trying things and saying, I didn't like that, but, I like this. This is perfect. So in kind of troubleshooting those various areas, and then the more you kind of get those fixed, then you kind of go to the next thing. Okay, what are we working on now? So that's been a really big help.
Yeah. And I have to give you credit. Every session you came, you were very motivated. You had a list of questions. You wanted to change. You wanted to get the information. You had a lot of questions. You even forced me to do research on some things that I wanted to dig deeper just to give you the better and more complete answer. So you have done amazing as well too, because I can give you all that I can, but you were doing it for yourself. And,
right.
And that was, I can tell your commitment, your drive to do this, that was a big factor in your success as well too.
Well, and one of the things, we also work with a business coach. We own our own business, and we've been working with the coach we have now for about 5 years, and we adore her. She's wonderful, but she can be very tough. One of the things that I think you do an especially good job of, and that I really appreciate, you kind of help break things down and help you kind of plan. Okay, so this isn't working. Well, what would make it work? What would help it be easier for you? Like this last session that we had, we were traveling. We had 4 graduations in the family, plus business travel and all kinds of stuff going on. So my exercise was lousy. And I kind of came in thinking, oh, boy, I don't have good stuff to report. But you were really good about breaking it down and kind of, hey, let's go back to this. Why didn't this work? What would help you? What if you did this? What if you did that? And I felt like that made a huge difference. And since our session, I just finished doing 5 workouts as we had planned, in the last week, and it felt great, and I felt good about making the progress. And yeah, I think kind of that troubleshooting and planning, both from a dietary perspective, but even the other lifestyle issues, is a great help.
Yeah, this is great. I love this. It's always good in anything in life, and we probably do it for a lot of things in life. We just don't do it for health. Is like take a step back and look at, okay, what has happened the past week or a month or whatever that period, and how can I learn from this? How can I look at it objectively and find the problems and then make a better plan?
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, and the other thing I wanted to make sure I mentioned is when I went to my doctor, you and I have been working together for, I don't know, maybe 4 months or something like that. And it was in one of the cycles I was working with my doctor, and I knew what my numbers had been, and so I went in to see him, and I went in kind of with fear and trembling because lots of times I'd go in and he would kind of have bad news, and so it was not exactly, I even found myself kind of sweating in the waiting room going to see the doctors. I was like, oh no way, I hated this, and so I went in, I sat with him. I made sure I got my test results in front of me because he never would do that. So I made sure they printed them for me so I could look at them while he's talking about them. And he looked at me and he said, I don't know what you're doing, but your numbers are fantastic. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And it was like, it just made my day. It just made my year. It just made me feel like it's all worth it and I'm moving in the right direction. And that was just, and it just inspired me to kind of take the next step and, okay, let's see if we can get out of the pre-diabetic range altogether and, put this in the rearview mirror, and we'll monitor and I'll continue to stay on track. But, so that was just super encouraging.
That's great. And, you also bring up a point, and I always tell people, print your labs, store them, have access to them, because take charge of your own health. And this is very empowering. Oh,
yeah, no, and some of these things I'm kind of learning in fits and starts. So I haven't always been good about printing out my lab results, or even, I print out your notes from our sessions, but I don't always put them in a notebook. And so I'm kind of getting better and better of, doing those things. So it kind of becomes kind of a routine thing where I can kind of see my progress, see where I've been, see what I'm working on, and have it all in one place.
That's amazing. That's great. Absolutely. So printing or storing electronically, just a track of your progress.
Right.
Just to, not take too much of your time. Is there anything else that you wanted to share? I mean, this was amazing. I'm so hopeful that people are inspired to, reflect on their own health, and whether it's diabetes or, high cholesterol or, digestive, whatever that is, the condition or the problem that they're dealing with. Any final thoughts or something, if you're having a conversation with a friend who's telling you this is what's going on with my health, what would you tell them?
I guess I would tell them, don't outsource your health to your doctor or anybody. You have to own it and take responsibility for it. It's too easy to say, well, I'll just take a pill and that'll make it better. But there's side effects, and I know I'm not really in a healthy place, but that's okay. It's good enough. It's not good enough. It's funny. I've come across so many people who I find out are type 2 diabetics, and I look at them and they're like, 30 pounds overweight, 40 pounds overweight or more. I've got a whole, both people in my family as well as people I come across, and I'm always surprised to find out that they're a diabetic. And I'm like, what are you doing? I mean, obviously you're probably taking some kind of medication, but you're obviously not doing the things that you need to for your own health and kind of taking responsibility for yourself. And I understand it's not easy, but it's so worth it when you do. That I think that's, and for me, working with you as a dietitian and helping to kind of think through this stuff, it's empowered me to take more responsibility for my health and not feel like It's just whatever pill the doctor decides he needs to give me. But that's not the answer. And if there's a whole different answer, that's actually a better answer.
Absolutely. And if I remember correctly, one of the sessions you mentioned that you feel better now than when you were younger.
Right. Yeah. No, I feel really good, and I feel really, and that, I get a lot of compliments from people that know me about, gee, what are you doing? You look terrific. How much weight have you lost? And are you feeling good? What's going on? And it's just, it becomes kind of self-perpetuating, because it's a positive, a virtuous cycle that kind of reinforces itself.
And let's face it, we all, realize that as we age, the body doesn't work, it gets a little tired and rusty. So if you feel more energized and looking better than you were 5 or 10 years ago, that's always a positive compliment anyone would welcome.
Right. The other thing I'd say, which is different than my situation, but it has to do with my daughter. My daughter has had lower GI issues for many years, and we took her to doctors, and she had sonograms and all kinds of stuff, and nobody could ever figure out what was going on. And so then, they think, well, gee, it's in your head, or, are you imagining it? And she would have reactions to eating, and, so we didn't really know what was going on. She went to see you, and within 2 visits, you had figured out what was going on with her because of her intolerance to different foods. You did a full panel with her on her reactions to different foods. That's made an enormous difference for her. It's just funny that there's so much that modern medicine is wonderful. I mean, my wife had breast cancer, and they did a fabulous job, fighting the breast cancer. But in other areas, you really need to look for somebody with a different skill set. And I think, your background as a nutritionist, I think is a really phenomenal compliment to working with a regular Western medicine doctor, because they're only going to see certain pieces where that's their strong suit. You're bringing a whole different skill set and knowledge set that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and we'll definitely have to get your daughter on another phone call to talk about specifically that. I love this, and people eat multiple times a day, and your doctor cannot really go through every single question you have about food, and just taking the stress and the anxiety and just having a clear path of what you need to do, I feel like makes a big difference. So I feel this has also been your experience.
The other thing that we've heard with a lot of the business work that we've done, which, plays into this, is you have to find people who can be advisors for you in different parts of your life. Most people go to a medical doctor once a year or something like that, or maybe a dentist, a couple times a year. I think, even if people haven't had experience with a really good nutritionist, to work with somebody like you, you're bringing a whole different perspective that the doctor is not going to have, and the dentist is not going to have, and the other people that in their lives are not going to have. So it can address issues that you didn't even realize. Like with my daughter, she didn't go because she thought she had some intolerance. She went because she wanted to lose weight. So, I just think there's so much value to working with somebody like you who can who really knows your area and that niche that doctors and other people it's just not their niche.
Yeah. Well, and I hope people, kind of get a different, just if they haven't thought about it, it's something to, are you really eating the right foods, and, do they know for sure what is the right path to taking care of their health? Ted, this was amazing. Thank you so much for, getting on the phone with me And yeah, and this has been, I thought this was a great conversation, and we talked about a lot of different things. I mean, unless you have something else to add, I can let you go if you have any final thoughts, but I'm going to leave it up to you.
Yeah, no, I think that's all the stuff that I can think of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Nora, I really appreciate your help, and I just think people ought to take this very seriously. I just think there's a lot of opportunity here that can make a big difference in people's lives. Yeah, absolutely. Great. I hope this is exactly what I'm hoping for. Thank you so much. And really you're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Hey, well, have a good one. No problem. Hey, you too. Have a wonderful day. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.